Live your life without consequences. All right, you never know where you're going to go. And if somebody feels some type of way of how you want to live your life, just stay judgment. Who cares? You know what I mean? Be who you want to be to the best of your ability.
Welcome back to another episode of Femme Parler Podcast. It's been a minute since you've heard from us. August of 2022 was the last time we recorded. But we're back, the dynamic couple. And our first episode that we're going to talk about today has to deal with death, because one of the reasons that the break that I took was so long that I talked about in the video that I did about why I've been gone so long and where have I been during this long hiatus that I took, was because we had a few deaths in the family. The first death, when I decided to take a break back in the fall of 2022, was my brother, who died in a car accident on November 20th in 2022. So that was traumatic in itself. And then my auntie, who played three roles, aunt, mother, sister, died 6 weeks later, August 12th of 2023. And surprisingly enough, as we're trying to recover from all this, then Khalif lost his brother. So it was a lot going on at the time. And for me, I can definitely say, before my brother, the one individual that was, well, the two individuals that was very close to me that I lost was my grandma and grandpa. And at the time I was 14 and 17. And when you lose a family member when you're young, as opposed to when you're an adult, it is drastically different. And when I lost my brother, it hit differently totally, because my brother was just shy of turning 32. His birthday would have been December 27th of 2022, and he would have turned 32. And the sad part is, here I am about to turn 40, and my brother didn't even live to see 32 years old. So that was tragic in itself. My 40th birthday was a bit sad because I really didn't want to celebrate because of that reason. It hadn't even been 6 months, let alone it hadn't even been 90 days. Now that I think about it, December, January. Well, no, it had been just a little over 90 days since my brother. No, December, January, February. Yeah, just a little over 90 days. So it was hard for me to celebrate and have a celebratory party when I just lost my little brother tragically. So that's where we've been. For me, I've been recouping. I've been resetting. I've been accepting the fact that these two people are now gone in my life, and I have to figure out how to move on. Because the first 6 months, I will say the hardest part is talking about them was difficult. And there are moments, and as quick as it came, it left, that I would want to call them or make a quick phone call. And then my brain quickly processed, they're not here anymore. So I'm going to let Khalif share about how he feels, because now we both share this tragic trauma together of we each have lost a sibling, which we definitely did not see coming. Your brother was the age you are now when he passed, right? Because he would have been turning 43 in February, correct? He died in December. His birthday day, February. He would have been turning 43. So the age you are now is the age. Just, your brother didn't even make it to
2 years older.
43.
No. Was
So
40? No, he's already 43.
Oh, he would have been 44?
Yeah, he's 2 years.
He was born in 81 or 80?
He's born in 80. Yeah, he was born in 80. We had a gap. So he was 80. I'm 82. Shanae's 83. Yes.
So he would have been turning 43. Let me do this math.
We ain't even doing the math. Don't even worry about it.
It is math. So he was 42 when he passed, and he would have turned 43 in February.
Something like that. I'm
So,
doing the math. I didn't get thinking about it.
but it's just letting people know that, how does it feel that your brother didn't even live to see 43, and now you're blessed to see 43?
That's crazy to think of it that way, which I never thought of it that way. I see death differently. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, if something tragic happens to a person, or if something happens to a person to where it's a life or death situation, if they pass, I just feel as though God wanted them. You know what I mean? And he felt as though they was better off with him than being here. That's how I see death.
I agree. I do believe that, in my honest opinion, the way I look at death is very similar to how you look at death. There are certain things or situations in life as adults we don't know how to process until the situation arises. No one teaches us how to mourn, but that could be very argumentative because everyone mourns differently. We accept things differently. We process quicker than others when it comes to mourning. Being part of your family, I've never attended so many funerals because you have a large family. My family is large in a different way. Most of my family members are back home in Haiti, so I have a small group here. And like I said before, my brother, it was my grandparents that passed. One passed in 98, the other passed in 2000. And sadly enough, I didn't even get to go to their funeral because my grandpapa was in Haiti. My grandmom, that was a request of hers that she did not want to be buried here in the U.S. and we shipped her back home. And I didn't get to go to either. So that's the sad part for me is I didn't get to attend their funeral. Interestingly enough, I can't stand funerals. I hate attending funerals. I attend because I have to.
You don't have to attend funerals.
Certain people, it is respectful for me to wish my last goodbye. I was definitely going to attend my brother.
Yes, 100%. Your last goodbye is basically cherishing the memories that you had with them, and accepting the fact that they're no longer here, and at least you got the time to spend with them to create those memories before they passed.
I agree. And what I was going to say before about what you said the first time about God was calling them, 100% agree that we all have an expiration date. It's extremely hard for human beings to accept that we are not going to last forever. Although subconsciously we know that we all have an end date, but we don't like to talk about it or come to the realization of it. My brother's death was a major realization to make sure that all our affairs was in order, because I told you
100%.
it's extremely important that we have life insurance set in place and, the power of attorney and the living will that we're working on this week coming. All these need to be in place. As sucky as it sounds, death is a business. A funeral is a business. And the last thing I want you or the kids to have to do is worry about how you're going to fund my funeral and also continue living life, because life still has to continue, and trying to figure out how to financially do so. So that's one of the things that I made sure of. And there were many things I had in place that I didn't even realize and I didn't take seriously. When it's time to renew your health insurance information at work, you're just like, okay, yeah, I'll do this. After my brother died, I really tightened up on, okay, what do I have? What don't I have? I make sure now, I will have to make sure is that if something was to happen to me, Khalif knows who he has to call, what he has to do
Ghostbusters.
to make sure that, he gets the life insurance information activated, because he's going to be mourning. The kids are going to be mourning. You just don't want your family to have to worry about
the struggle of how to do everything.
How am I going to finance this?
And hold to hold their stuff together at the same time.
Exactly. If you want to take 6 months off for work because you need to gather yourself, you should be able to do so.
I need to do an FMLA on my job because I'll be ready to beat these people up. I just thought about that, yo. I do be needing to take some time off, man. I forgot.
You so.
No, I'm so serious.
I know you are. We'll talk about that. Side note. Anyhow, it is a calling. I have mentally prepared myself. I have had the conversation with our children. I don't know if you've had that. If something happens to me, they need to pick up and keep it going. Funny enough, I say to them, I told Rye, and I told you this. I said, Rye, if something happens to me, you need to hold it together. You need to keep your dad together because he's going to fall apart. I sure did say that because you are going to fall apart.
You know what the kids say to me? You'll be all right. Anything happens to me, you'll be all right. That's literally what they say to me.
Who, me?
The kids.
If anything happens to me, I'll be all right.
No, they say I'll be all right. If anything happens to me, you'll be all right.
No, you know why they say that? Because I think they see the role dynamic in us. And I think realistically, they're not trying to say but you always see the stronger parent when it comes to emotions like that. Like when it comes to our kids, Khalif, I can honestly say Kalia is a lot stronger than Papa. Now, Kalia is sensitive. Don't get me wrong, she is sensitive, but she does it behind closed doors. But she's the one that's going to, call the insurance, get the paperwork signed, take care of everything, while Pop-Pop's going to be grieving. He's not going to make sure all these phone calls and things are made. He'll be helping his sister the best way he possibly know how. But that's what I mean, where even in our kids, we know who the business-orientated one is and who's the one that's going to be grieving and can't handle the business. Now, could we be wrong and roles might be reversed? Possibly. But I think they see that in us where if something was to happen to me first, babe, you breaking down. I'm sorry, you breaking down, baby.
Possible.
And if something was to happen to you, I will break down. I'm not trying to say I'm going to just how going. I'm going to be sad as hell.
I will have my moments.
I'm going to be sad as hell. If I need to take 6 years off, I'm going to the doctor and I said, I'm depressed and I need time off of work.
She's going to be a drug addict.
Absolutely. I'm going to be home. Everything is going to be delivered. I ain't going nowhere. I will be home because I need to be grieving. But so here's the thing. Do you think, because there are 5 stages of grief when your brother died, do you think you went through all of them? Do you know what they are?
No. I don't know. I don't know what the 5 stages are.
I'll tell you what they are.
Okay.
Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Now, in my opinion, I do think you went through all of them from what I saw visually. But what do you think? Do you think you went through all these stages?
I guess, but I didn't feel it. But yes, I was upset. I know that much. Denial was just basically get the fuck out of here, until the reality sets in.
Well, you did go through anger because you felt like the last phone conversation you had with your brother.
Yes, 100%.
You wasn't the nicest to him.
I was nice to him.
But you was beating yourself up about the conversation you had, and it wasn't the greatest conversation in the world.
So it was a couple conversations, but the last conversation I had with him was actually a perfect good conversation. We stopped talking for a reason.
True.
All right. Let me tell them the reason why I made my brother stop talking.
That's your personal decision.
Cool.
As long as you feel like putting it out into the world, these internet aunties and uncles like to tussle.
So my brother, granted he did a lot of like in and out of prison, whatever the case may be, and he never really how would I say bounced back from that to the point where he knew he had to step up and be a man or whatever the case may be, and he was always asking people for money. So I basically told him, if you call 10 people in a day and ask them for $20 and everybody send it, you probably got more money than everybody you asked. Some people probably might send you last just because they love you that much. So I turned around and told him, shit, you living in the hotel right now, my man. Tell your girl sell that pussy. It's only going to cost $40. And we stopped talking. It was fucked up to say, but man, listen, coming from a walk of life where I rip and ran the streets to where I had to go out and get it on my own, then changing my life to basically being a hard worker, I ain't got time to be just giving up my hard worker money. You know what I mean? If I was still out in the streets ripping and running, cool, take it. I don't care about that. You know what I mean? It's a fast-paced life, so, I mean, now you see me, now you don't. It can be in your pocket one day and out your pocket the next. It don't matter. But when you're working and you're trying to see your income that you're making and you're trying to save it and do all the other stuff that you need to do as far as like taking care of your bills and everything else, I ain't got time to be giving nobody no damn money. I'm broke.
Well, there's a positive way of looking at it. You don't want to give him money because of his past situations. It's not.
No, he was just a Buddha Bud king. I don't care how you can say it. The nigga smoked Buddha Bud. That's what his shit was. He was smoking fucking Buddha Bud.
But it's not like you haven't helped him in the past. The point you're trying to make is you have helped him in the past, but it doesn't matter who the person is. I do believe it is important to set boundaries in certain situations with certain people, especially if they're addicted to negative things such as alcohol or drugs or...
You support my alcoholism. If that's a word.
Well, you do drink a lot. Oh, look at you using that word. When I use that word, you get mad. You like to say, I'm an alcoholic.
Just because I had maybe 1 or 2 drinks, I'm an alcoholic now.
Oh, the Troutmans like to drink, and you know that. You're one of them. You love a little drinking.
Yeah, I want to get a drink right now.
I know. You should have told me before we started.
No, it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. It's cool. I still got some in my system from last night.
Now, as you know, for my brother's situation, we have not grown closer as a family. First, my mother did not take his death
too
well. So she kind of went a different path. Then on top of that, with her sister passing away, it didn't help the situation at all whatsoever. And, you know, one thing is we were close, but we weren't like best friends. And with the passing of my brother and my aunt, who were the bond between my mother and I, that the glue, I should say, that kept everything together, we're just not close anymore. You know, that's the sad part. We're not close anymore. My brother, who has 2 children now, and without me going into the nitty gritty of the second child, I don't have a relationship with my nephews, which is sad in itself. But, you know, I try to be... One thing about my brother and I, we had a very good relationship. I was honest with him. He was honest with me. As I said on the reintroduction I did on Where I've Been, my brother was the biggest supporter when it came to my podcast. One thing I'm sad about is he wanted to do a show with me. And because, of course, this is how we are in life, we always assume we have time. And, you know, time is borrowed. We don't know if we're going to see tomorrow or the day after. I wish I would have been more proactive in trying to schedule a show with my brother, because I could have had that memory. He was one of my biggest supporters when it came to this podcast. Before we end the show, I'm going to read the text message that he had sent to me, which I saved, which I'm going to be getting framed because it was definitely a word of support and encouragement from him, because he always looked up to me as his big sister, you know, and just like any siblings, we went through it. There have been times I pissed him off or he pissed me off, but that's just part of life. That's what it is. But we always made up. And if he was wrong, he was quick. I will tell you this. He was quick to call me and always apologize first, I feel. You know, that's the one thing I regret. And the one thing that does sadden me is that I cannot have a decent relationship with my nephews, which I wish I could, but I can't. I assume that his death would have brought us closer together as a family unit, but of course it did not. So that's something that is completely out of my control, that I just pray about every day, that when the boys get older and they have control of their lives outside of their mother, and this is me trying to be a respectful adult, and not really truly saying what's on my mind, that they will reach out to their father's side of the family and want to get to know their aunt and their cousin since their dad is not in their lives. He even struggled when he was in his first son's life because he doesn't know his second child. But that's the hardest part for me about the death. Now, I know your situation is different because your family, of course, is a lot closer. And is there any story that you want to share, maybe negative or positive, about your brother's death?
I don't have no story to share about my brother's death. I wished he would have took my offer when I asked to pay for him to come back down here and start over. I wish he would have took the offer. Me, him, and my sister. Our sister was on the phone. That's the only thing I can really say. But, he had his girl up there, whatever the case may be. Because she wasn't going to be welcome over here. He could have came down here, lived in my crib for 3 months, got himself on his feet the way he needed to. You know what I mean? And went about his business and figured out how to go about doing the things he needed to do to make sure he was good. That's all. But it didn't happen. Yeah, it just didn't happen. That's crazy.
How's the relationship with your sister since your brother's death?
The same as it's always been, 50-50. 1 minute she loves me, next minute she hates me. The fuck? I'm gonna be honest with you.
Do you guys, now I will say one positive thing for you and your sister is you guys have each other. I don't have so that's why I ask, how is the relationship with your sister from a positive or negative perspective? Because you have your sister. It was the three of you. I don't have anybody to lean on. So when I grieve, I'm either grieving alone.
No, you got the Troutmans. You got the Troutmans, certain ones, because you only mess with certain ones. You got Mika, and you got Aunt Diane. Those are your favorites.
From a sibling perspective, though. See, they're not my sibling. I'm not always call Aunt Diane and talk to her about anything in the world.
So, all right, cool. But to get back on topic, it's like I said, it's a 50-50. It's a hit and miss with me and her. I don't lean on her for anything. I'm more like a stay to myself. Take the punches and roll with them type of person. I have seen a lot of death in my 43 years. Literally, I have seen a lot. A fucking lot. And now I'm just at the point, I'm not going to say now I'm at the point, but I just got to the point where it was like acceptance. You could say almost like I have a cold shoulder for it. Nigga dead, all right, it is what it is, but it's just, I've seen a lot of death. I lost some good people. Family and friends. For real, and that's deep.
Is it different for you when you lose family as opposed to friends? As a feeling wise? Now, of course, family can become, or friends become family.
So, let's just say I was more messed up over Aunt Tubby than I was over Aunt Janice. And they was twins. Aunt Janice went out the way she went out. Yeah, I was messed up, but, to get a tear out of me, it was Aunt Tubby. Somebody that, has been in your life to where they give you that connection to you, that understanding, to give you that knowledge. We was going over her house every Sunday for dinner, and I was the first one there to help her prep and everything else like that for the food.
Prep?
Yeah.
I'd always tell Aunt Tubby, keep him out your house. You want to go eat her food.
And guess what?
To cook it.
I was prepping too. What are you talking about?
Prep.
That's why you like my mac and cheese.
Prep. Aunt Tubby would look at you right now and roll her eyes.
That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's my baby. But then my boy Jazz. In 2000 we graduated. He was like, yo, let's get a bottle. I said, all right, let me go handle something real quick. I'll be back. And I came back to the street taped off with the bottle. And literally, he got killed within 20 minutes of me being gone. The graduation night, me and him both graduated in 2000. And he died the same night he graduated. That was deep. You know, my great-great-grandfather, J.B. Jones, he was the one that I think I had the tightest bond with, you know, and that one hit home the hardest because, like, even though he was bedridden, you know, let's just say I got an old soul, but like, I sit there with him, watch TV, feed him, you know what I mean? Probably change him from time to time, stuff like that, you know? And when he left, that one hit different. Just hit different. It's just the person that you build the closest bond to is the ones that's going to hurt the most.
Very true.
You know? And JB was my guy. Word of spot.
And JB was your grandfather's father?
Man, you can't tell me the history of that, man. I've been trying to forget too much shit, man. I got too much on in this head right now.
JB was your grandfather's father. How do I know this? And
I'm not my grandfather's father.
Blood relative.
Because you ask a lot of questions.
I do ask a lot of questions.
You see how big this family is? Do you see how
the family?
You see how big this family is? You gonna start asking questions? I'm not.
The family is big, but you have to ask questions so you can make sure you feed proper information down.
Yes.
So I always ask how Diane because
100%. But anyway, that's besides the point. That's besides the point. JB was my nigga. Fuck that. You don't care how you
was your grandfather's father.
Yeah, and the crazy part about it is we literally was just talking to Diane and got a full breakdown of everything.
We were.
It's crazy.
We definitely were.
But my mind don't be in the right places. You know, I drift off. I swear I do. I drift. We can have a conversation right now. I'm drifting off. I don't care. Even if I'm fucking talking, my mind is thinking about something totally different.
Based on what you said while you was talking, I was thinking, and you've had a lot, and I know you did say, you know, Aunt Janice and Aunt Tubby were twins, but Aunt Tubby hit differently, of course, because Aunt Tubby practically raised you and your sister, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
How do you feel about all the deaths that go through in your family because your family's large?
Nigga, it's life. That's all. It ain't no field. It ain't no field.
You feel. Don't say you don't feel.
But it's life. It's life.
Grandpa, your great grandpa, Tubby,
okay, cool.
Your friend Jazz. So you do feel. How do you think I handle grief? Do you care?
So how do I think you handle grief? Silently. To yourself. You do a lot of thinking when you grieve. Too much thinking. You know, you overcook your mental. Yes, you're a silent griever, you know, like, but then again, like at the same time, only know of the two deaths, you know, I have only been around for them. I didn't know nothing about the others, or that's all what I have seen from you. So the way I seen you grieve was literally silently, you know, like there's been times where I walk in and you're shedding tears. You all right? Yes. That's what you tell me. Yes. I'm like, nah, but something's going on. I'll be all right. Is your words. You know, it's because you're in your thoughts, and it's almost like if you can change time or whatever case may be, the way you think of things, in my opinion. That's how it feels though you handle your grief. Just silence with a lot of thoughts.
One thing I wanted to mention about grief for me is, which is an interesting thing I've thought about, is why do people go when they go? You know, we all have an expiration date. We don't know when it's going to be. I pray to God every day that I go after my children. I don't want my children to go before me, because to see what my mother went through, although I do feel as though I'm a strong individual and I will bounce back, because over the years I've learned in everything that's happening in life, you have to be mentally prepared. You have to prepare yourself sometimes for the worst, but not in a negative way, because we're human beings. We're prone to error. Life is not perfect. And just like things happen in a relationship that surprise you, death is always a surprise. The only way you can prepare for death is if someone is truly sick
And now you start to go through that process in your mind. But when someone is not sick and it's a freak accident or it's an unexpected death, it's a little harder to process. I always ask myself why that person had to go when they go. I saw my little brother be born, and I also saw my little brother die. I didn't think I would have had to do that or take care of that. As I was saying before, Khalif has his sister that as siblings, they can lean on each other if they need to. I don't have a sibling, although my brother and I do have a half sister that we share, but I'm not close to her. And when it comes to opening up to people and being close, as Khalif just said, my social network is not large like that. And maybe that's one of the reasons why I keep my connection small, because maybe I have a fear of heartbreak. Maybe it's less people that I have to worry about mourning, because Khalif has had a lot of friends that passed. I haven't had a lot of friends that passed, and the people that have passed that I've known are normally associates. They don't necessarily fall in the friend circle for me. It's a different type of connection that I have. So it's always interesting for me when it comes to the question that I ask myself constantly is, why did that person have to go when they went? Do you think about the same?
I used to, but I came to the understanding and acceptance that God wanted them back home.
Okay.
So that's literally how I see it. Like, you will never get the correct answer of why. So
I don't think I'm looking for an answer.
I'm not saying, I'm just speaking in general, but you would never get like just anybody, like when they ask, and they're just thinking about like, why this, why that, like, I just basically see it as God wanted them home, they was better off with God. That's why he called on them, That's
Like you said, God wanted them home. They were better off with God. That's why he called me. Do you think suicide is the same?
Nah, hell no.
So that's not God calling them.
No, that's them taking their own fucking life. That's
Have
different.
an expiration date that the Lord knows of.
Yes, but take in consideration killing yourself. Now you're sitting there asking for fucking forgiveness. You know what I mean? Then on top of that, that's almost like the sucker way out. To me, it's a sucker way out. But you don't know what a person got going on in their mind to sit here and want to take that step or that action. Some things might be too heavy on them to where they done tried everything to try and fix the problem that they had going on, or they felt as though they had going on, and they chose a different route. If I can't know, like, they just chose a different route. I can't fix it. I'm giving up on it. And instead of just giving up on it, they gave up on life. So the suicide is totally different from, a person dying of old age, a person dying in a car accident, a person getting shot, a person getting stabbed, a person falling off a motorcycle. That's totally different. Like, we're looking at things where people making it to the hospital and trying to fight for their life. And as much as they're trying to fight, God is like, listen, I'll take the pain away for you. Just come with me. That's how I see that. Suicide is totally different.
Suicide is different from a freak accident or from sickness. But when you say God, it was time for them to go, God wanted them. Don't you think God knows that the way they're going to go is by suicide? Could it
That's
have
the devil's
stopped?
way. It's the devil. Yeah, the only way it can be stopped is if they don't pull the trigger. They don't hang from that rope. Like, I ain't trying to be religious or nothing, but there's ups and downs. There's literally ups and downs, and suicide is just, it's not a way to go out.
So you feel suicide has nothing to do with God. It's a personal choice that an individual makes.
Yes, you're taking your own life. Oh, matter of fact, you know what? That's crazy. That's crazy, right? So, that's wild. Um, that's wild. Because I was watching this movie. It was either a movie. No, it wasn't a movie. I was watching a show or something, whatever it was. But this dude wanted to commit suicide, and he tried to. He loaded the AK up to his face. I forget, it was like if it was under his chin or whatever the case may be. And he shot, blew half of his face off, whatever the case may be, and he still survived. So you know what? You could be right on that because he's still here.
The reason I ask is because twice you said in your eyes you feel as though God wanted them to go. I do feel as though we all have, from my perspective, we all have an expiration date. We are all going to go. How we're going to go, we don't know that. We have no idea how we're going to go. If we all knew how we're going to go, we probably would rewrite our story if we could. But none of us knows that. That's the special, interesting part of life, so to say. So when you say God wanted them, and you said that twice, what I'm hearing is the suicide change that. So that's the reason why I wanted
No,
to
no,
ask
no,
your
no.
perspective.
No, I see what you're saying. Um, that's a fine line. Let's put it like that. That's just a fine line because, like I said, the story with the dude tried to commit suicide and he shot his fucking face off, but he's still here. You know, trying to commit suicide, shot his face, still here.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yep. That happens
so
more.
so it's a thin line.
So I want y'all to share your viewpoint. Basically, what's being discussed here, just for me to reiterate, Khalif said that death is God calling on you. Because of him saying that, I challenged him with a question. Do you feel suicide falls in the same perspective? He says, no, that has to do with the devil. But it is a fine line because he gave the example of somebody shooting themselves in space and surviving. Now, I know a story of somebody who shot themselves and survived. And there's more stories that we want to believe out there of certain situations where someone does something to take their life and they survive.
Gotcha.
So the big question that is interesting is, does that align with God? Which I'm interested in hearing what your thoughts and your responses is. Now, I'll answer in my opinion. I am religious, but I'm not super, super religious. I do have a lot of questions. I challenge things in my own mind. I challenge things. I do believe that we are all children of God, and I agree with Khalif that death is God's calling. It's his way in saying it is your time to go. Now, being the utmost being that he is, the question that always goes in my mind, why would you allow somebody to the extent of taking their life completely, where not where, your life is saved or you survive any situation, rather it's cutting yourself or shooting yourself or taking a whole bunch of pills, whatever method you feel to take yourself out, you end up surviving. And it even can be an intentional car accident. There's so many ways of taking your life. How does some people survive and others don't? It's an interesting discussion because is it the devil's way, and are you going to go to hell if you commit suicide? Is it still God's calling? Even though he should be aware, the higher being should be aware of how we're all going to go. Are we cheating death when we take our lives? It's just an interesting perspective that I have thought about over the years, because as we all know, this life is challenging. And there are days that are heavier than others, and certain people just, suicidal ideation is called, is when you think about wanting to take your own life when it's an actual thought. As y'all know, I did do an interview with somebody that actually goes through this and thinks about this, where normal individuals don't think about things like this, where, he gave us the example of you could be out having a flat tire. And during that flat tire situation, you think of taking your life. That way you can end all this. Whereas a normal person is like, okay, I got to call AAA, try to get the flyer, try to get the tire, get things back on track so I can move on with my day. So suicidal ideation is real. And it's just an interesting perspective. That's why I brought it up. So what would you like our listeners to take away from this today?
Live your life without consequences. All right, you never know where you're going to go. And if somebody feels some type of way of how you want to live your life, it's just their judgment. Who cares? You know what I mean? Be who you want to be to the best of your ability.
Live your life to the fullest, right? Tomorrow's not promised. Love your loved ones tightly. You hear about all the tragic things that happen out here in this world. And I will say, I do fall victim, and many of us fall victim. And we definitely go about the day and act like every day is promised, every hour is promised, every minute is promised to us, when in reality, we know it's not. We don't know what's going to happen from minute to minute, hour to hour, day to day, week to week, month to month. After my brother's death and then my aunt's death, it just made me realize I do need to appreciate every day to the best of my ability, of course. I'm human. I'm not perfect. Family members are going to upset you. Friends are going to accept you. That's part of life. But I try not to be malice in my ways. I really do. I try to, especially our kids, every single day, I try to love on them like I'm not going to see them tomorrow. Because I don't want my last moment with my family to be sour as hell. You don't want that shit. And it sucks. But live life to the fullest. Remember, tomorrow's not promised to you. When you do lose a loved one or a close friend that was practically family, take the time to mourn, whatever mourning may look like for you, because everyone grieves differently. As Khalif said, I'm very much of a silent griever, which I am. I do go through the stages, but I go through them silently. I don't have big dramatics. I'm not going to be bursting and crying out loud or, at the funeral falling to the ground or anything like that. I'm not one of those people with all the drama. I'm very reserved when it comes to things like this. As you know, I don't even like funerals, but I'm respectful in the moment. But whatever grief may look like for you, it is okay. It is okay. Mourn, grieve, and accept it. I will say this. One thing that bothered me extremely, and if you know me well, I don't talk about the death in a way where if I'm in conversation with you, I'll just say my brother. And if you're truly listening, you may hear me talk about him in the past tense. But I don't try to put my brother in or my aunt in a conversation where I want people to feel sorry for me. I don't do that. I do realize in conversation, I tend to realize people do that much. And then if you're really listening to the conversation, then I'll immediately include in there, oh, my condolences. One thing I hated for people to say to me is, are you okay? No, I'm not fucking okay. And find something else to say to people, because people are really not okay. They're really not. I'm not okay. I just lost my little brother, just lost my aunt. You asking me if I'm all right? Rather use words of, what can I do for you? Do you want to talk? Do you want to go out to eat? I'm just checking in. Watch your wording, especially when somebody loses someone. For me,
immediately after my brother died, and then right after my aunt died, I was very closed in. So that's the reason why Khalif says I'm a very quiet mourner. I didn't want to talk because what am I going to talk to you about? Like, I'm fucked up right now. I'm not feeling good. I'm not feeling good. Like, I can talk to you about it, but then it's just like there's only but so much I want to say. And then I was in that moment where I bring them up, I'm crying. Now I'm in my feelings, and it's just like, I got to compose myself. So just be mindful of your words when someone does lose somebody that's extremely close to them. Sometimes saying less and just your presence is great, just to let them know you're there. And what can I do for you? How can I help this situation or what you're going through? But as we end this episode to the next episode, as always, thank you guys for listening. We appreciate you. Have a great day. Thank you for tuning into the show. If you want to continue the conversation or share your takeaways, head on over to the website or join us on social media. I want to hear from you. Don't forget to rate and subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Chat with you soon.